There we go. All right. Oh, Caleb, and are you going by Taz or
Yep.
Ebony? Are you Taz or Ebony?
Taz.
Okay. Because it said Ebony in the thing, so I thought it was Ebony. Anyway, Caleb.
Aloha.
Caleb, I actually didn't know that that was you who
Word.
so I just went to the Discord and invited, like said, who wants to help moderate this discussion. So I didn't know that that was you, Caleb, who had accepted. I was just like, boom. But yeah, good to see you.
See you too.
So basically, I guess I'll give Caleb a little bit of background. Taz and I had gotten into a debate on TikTok. Actually, I'll let her give the background, but I'll say this is why we're doing it live on a thing. Thank you for coming, Taz. I want to make sure that we're done within an hour, so that way you can do what you're going to do. And Taz is, or this is Caleb. Caleb, this is Taz.
Hey.
Aloha.
So I want to just explain a little bit of brief, and then I'll let you go into like the reason why we're doing this. My reason is I freaking hate the comment section on TikTok. It has limited thread functionality. It can only go back 2,000 comments, right? So like if you don't comment for a while, I get so many comments I can't go back and see it. There's character limits, and they reorder themselves randomly. So like if I try to find out
They do. I hate that, the fact that they reorder themselves.
Yeah. And then I can't tell what the person said to me and I said to them. And if multiple people go into it, then I have no idea what the hell is going on in the conversation. And so that's why I wanted to do an actual live discussion, because I prefer this to that. But I guess you can give like some of the background of what transpired to have us come here from your perspective.
Well, our discourse came about because you you responded to a question from another creator regarding interracial dating and leaving Black women out of the conversation, but then you had a lot of jokes about us Black women. And my issue was, why did you bring us into the conversation?
Why did I bring this? What is this you're referring to?
Why did you bring Black women into the conversation instead of just saying why you like dating the person that you're dating?
Okay. I guess that's a good question. The part that confuses me about that is the question itself says, Black men, why do you date exclusively outside of your race without blaming Black women? So within the question itself, it actually is Black women is in the question. So
No, it's
like,
saying exclude Black women without bringing us in. Why? Because just like I told you before, me personally, I pretty much dated the United Nations. It's because of the individual person. It wasn't a revenge tactic on Black men. It wasn't a hatred of Black men. There was no reason for me to bring Black men into that conversation. I like that individual person. So what the other creator was saying is, tell us why you're dating this person or you choose to date these people. Just don't talk about Black women. Tell us why you like these people.
And okay. So do you think that there are people who are Black who exclusively don't date other Black people?
Yes, I believe in every race there are people who exclusively don't date their own race.
And do you think that that decision has any validity to it at all?
It depends on the individual. I'm not sure what you mean by, does that decision have any validity to it?
Like,
everybody's valid in their feelings and their preferences. I think the validity goes out the window when you bash your own counterpart in order to justify dating or liking outside your race. But you're entitled to your feelings and your preferences.
Okay, so would you say that there is a way to answer that question or make that decision that isn't racist? Like if you have a Black person and say, I don't date Black women, do you think, because my assumption is this, is that if a person actually is doing that, they are to some degree racist. Would you disagree with that?
I would disagree. Everyone that dates outside of their race isn't racist. Are there people who do that? under racist pretenses and under fetishism? Most definitely. But like, I have two brothers that happen to be married to white women. One has exclusively dated white women. And his reason has nothing to do with skin tone or physicality, because we've had this conversation.
Okay.
It's just the women who shared most of his common interests and everything, where he went off to college, where he went to high school, because he went to a different high school than the rest of us. That's who he aligned with. And he ended up marrying a white woman, and they have a wonderful, healthy relationship, just like my other brother. And their attraction has nothing to do with race or ethnicity. And if you were to ask them why they got together, they tell you about their personalities, their backgrounds lining up, them sharing religious beliefs and moral and ethical beliefs, but neither one of them bash the counterparts of their race.
Right. Okay. And by the way, I just want to say this real quick. Caleb, I guess I don't know how, I just wanted you here just the kind of way, so make sure that I don't get out of line, that make sure that Taz is heard and, like, things like that. I don't know, like, if you'll be like super needed, like it'll be good just to have somebody there. So if you have questions, you can, go ahead and interject as well.
Yeah.
So my question to that would be, wouldn't that, the instance you just described to me is somebody who has exclusively, let's say, exclusively dated white women, but that was kind of incidentally. It's like, not, I have a rule against that. It's just, that's what happened to be the case.
I think that's what generally happens with most of us that interracially date in the first place. You don't really seek out and say, I want a white man, I want an Asian man. You go for, oh, I clicked with this person, I vibe with this person. Oh, we have these interests. Yes, I'll go out on a first date with you, and that first date leads into a second date, which leads into multiple dates, which leads into a relationship. Very few people outside of those with a fetish actually go, you know what? I exclusively need a 6'2", blue-haired, blonde-haired woman because that's gonna make me blah, blah, blah. No, most people don't go into that. When you started dating, did you have it in your head, the skin tone that you wanted your counterpart to be?
Me personally, no. I date every particular, I guess you could call them, races, like any ethnicity. I don't.
So you like me, you'll date the United Nations. It's no problem.
Right. Man, this is weird.
So then the question should have been very simple for you. If you date based on individual attraction, then when asked, why do you date who you currently date, you could have told us how wonderful she was.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I was slightly distracted because there's two people in the waiting room and I don't know what they're from. Do you know what Kim? Do either of you know what Kim?
Yeah, Kim's for me.
Oh, okay. I'll let her. All right, I'll let Kim in, and then Lloyd, I think, is from our server. All right, so now we got 4 people. Kim and then Lloyd. Okay, so we got Lloyd, and we got Kim connecting to the audio too. Sorry, I was like a little distracted because I was like, there's extra people here. So hopefully Zoom lets us keep doing it, because I know there's like a limit and time limit on all this stuff.
Yeah, I think as long as we keep it under 100, we're good.
Oh, okay. And then Lloyd, welcome. I think maybe I don't know, Lloyd is from the Discord, or is Lloyd from TikTok? I don't know.
Lloyd's from TikTok.
All right, cool. So Kim is connecting still. Can you say the last part that you said again? I'm sorry, I was distracted by that.
What I was saying is, if you're saying that you would date anyone and you're not looking at their skin tone, then it should have been easy for you to answer the question as to why you're currently dating who you're currently dating. Why can't you tell how wonderful she is as a person?
The issue that I have with that is that I don't exclusively date white people.
Welcome everybody to ETS sponsorship.
What is this?
Over the
Lloyd,
course
we
of,
gotta meet you.
the next 3 evenings.
Lloyd was like on a conference call or something.
Oh, I think usually he automatically mutes. But yes, the original question was, and it was for people who exclusively dated outside of their race. So my question to you would be, why jump into a conversation that didn't include you?
That's a good question. I think that there is no such thing as a person who fits the category he presupposes. Even you answered the question, and you're not a man.
Mm-hmm. I answered you. I didn't answer the original question. I answered you.
No, I mean, in your video, you said you answered the question.
I said I can answer the question as to why I'm dating someone without
Right.
bringing Black men.
Yeah,
And my thing is, I think a lot of times there are certain men across the board that lose track that you can make decisions and you can state your preferences and what you like and what you don't like and not downgrade Black women, because it is getting old that just because you choose not to currently date a Black woman, we have to be brought into the conversation.
yeah. I like I said, I don't think that I'm one of the people who actually fits the criteria of what he was asking, because I do not exclusively, I do not exclude Black women from my dating pool. I was just engaged in it in a humorous way, because
Was that
it
really
was.
humorous? Was it?
I think it was. I mean, here's the thing. I said, I don't know if this was you that said this, but I said this as, why did that post blow up so much? Why do you think that post blew up?
Because it was disrespectful.
So, okay, so
Wait a minute, you mean the original post or your first video cracking jokes? Let me clarify.
it wasn't even my first video cracking jokes. I did multiple. But I think it was the second or third one.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
response is disrespectful.
Right.
Because there
so
was no reason to perpetuate stereotypes that are fervently based in racist ideas that came from racist cis white men towards Black women to degrade us and to separate us through the intersectionality of discrimination within our own community. And to see a Black man sit there and say that me as a Black woman, I can't have good credit, I can't have this, I can't do that, that's disrespectful. Because we as Black women, we tend to always be on the side of protecting Black men. So to see us be the butt of your jokes and be left unprotected, that's extremely disrespectful.
Okay, so this gives me a little bit of context. So you are aware of the credit one, the credit joke one, right?
Oh, I looked at all of them.
Okay. So basically, I guess I'm gonna address what you're saying about the butt of the jokes, but I guess more specifically to what I'm trying to ask is, why do you think the baby mama one blew up and not the credit one and the other ones?
It could have been the algorithm, because the first one I saw was actually the baby mama one. It came across my For You page. The credit one, someone sent to me because I thought you had just made one. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go past it. It's disrespectful, but I'll let it go. When I was sent the second one, I went to your page and looked through some other ones. And then that's when I made my response.
Okay.
But the whole baby mama thing, do you know the history of where that came from?
Oh, yeah, I guess that was part of the thing too, is that people thought I was blaming Black women. I don't blame Black women.
No, that's not what I'm asking. Do you know the history of where the term baby mama stems from and why that struck such a chord with so many people, especially allies of Black women?
No, I don't know where the term comes from.
Okay. There was a conversion in the late 50s, early 60s, where the U.S. welfare program was making a transition from not having anybody work,
yes.
and it was predominantly for white.
And they were incentivized.
When Nixon began to run for office, he is the one that coined the term law and order, which basically said that these Black people out in the street protesting were unlawful and out of order. Well, at that time, welfare reform was changing. Now, because Black women needed help, because a lot of our men were dying in wars that they weren't even getting respected for, we became known as baby mamas and welfare queens because of that, because we needed the same help that was given to our white women counterparts. So that struck a chord, because these are women who, unlike their white counterparts, still had to go out and bust their butt to work to get pennies on the dollar, while white women had the GI Bill, the welfare bill, to help separate the gap between single mothers and create a middle class for them. So that's why that struck so hard. So sometimes you have to take a step back and learn your own history and realize that the knife goes deeper in than what you think. And what you think is just a hee hee ha ha surface joke isn't.
Well, Well, that history I know of, I just didn't relate it to the term. I would say even furthermore that the black men were incentivized to leave black women then, because in order to get welfare, you couldn't have an able-bodied man in the house. So that policy itself actually encouraged men to not live at the house um, with their with their wives
Yeah,
or
well,
with
let's
the.
take a moment to unwhitewash some history, because I hate when people toss around stereotypes, rumors, gossips, and the urban legends. Men could be in the house if they were married. Unfortunately, depending on what part of the country you were in the late 50s and early 60s, a lot of times you could not get a marriage license if you were black or brown because of a lot of stipulations they had from state to state, like certain blood tests that you had to pay for. And if a man had an STD, which a lot of them did because of things like the Tuskegee Airmen experiments, going overseas, not properly getting the proper medical care and getting tainted blood, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what a lot of people don't want to bring up. So when it comes to our history, let's learn our actual history and not keep spreading the whitewashing of it.
Wait, what did I say that was whitewash?
By saying that black men were incentivized to leave the house. That's one of the biggest myths that's running around.
Wait, so
You could receive welfare if you were married, but if you're prevented from being married because you can't get a blood test to get married, and that's what a lot of people forget in this country, that for generations, depending on the state or the county that you were in, you had to have a blood test in order to get that done.
wait, so this is the part that I'm missing with what you're saying, is that it sounds like if you weren't married, then you were incentivized to leave the house.
No, you just couldn't be in the house. Just like now, you have to be a complete family unit.
Okay.
They weren't
Yeah,
like, oh, we'll
that's
give you money to leave. No, we're saying the family unit is who shares the same last name, to make it simple as pie.
wait. See, you're saying that they weren't incentivized to leave, but they couldn't stay in the house? Like, I don't get the difference between those two.
Welfare is for family. Incentivized means that you were paid to do or not to do something. If you are not a part of the core family unit by the government, meaning you share the same last name or DNA, you cannot receive any benefits under that house. That doesn't mean the relationship ends. It doesn't mean that fathers can't still
Oh,
be fathers.
okay. Yeah. I'm not saying, okay, so I think we have different definitions of incentivize, and I think you're reading it a lot of blame into what I'm saying, but I'm just saying
No,
this
I'm
is
not
the
reading any blame. I just go by the dictionary definition of word. So I'm not sure what you mean by incentivize, because incentivize means that you're giving some sort of payment, some sort of encouragement in order to do or not to do something. So
encouragement, but not necessarily payment. Um, I believe, yeah, there was encouragement there. Okay, so wait, I want to ask you, because this came up a lot and people had differences of opinion on this. And we talking about the nature of race. What you said I confused ethnicity and race in your video. You remember that?
yes, when you put up the second video, and you were talking about, like, I can't remember exactly which one, but you said something like about Puerto Ricans and everything. That's an ethnicity. Race is black, white, things like that. Like, people try to interchange them, and that's incorrect.
Okay. So there's different than race. Let me ask you this. What would you say are the races? Like, how many are there and what are they?
Well, you tell me how many you think there are.
I think it's a social construct, so it has no manifestation scientifically. I think it's completely made up. And that's why I don't
Well,
like when.
race is completely a social construct. Have you ever read the book, The Nature of Race by Anne Murray?
No.
It's a very good read.
Yeah,
Because a
wait.
lot of people think that it has to do with socioeconomic this, that, and the other. Race was created by racist white people looking for a way to make themselves feel superior by trying to also say that anyone with any amount of melanin in their skin was subhuman.
Wait. So do you believe that?
Do I believe what?
Do you believe, okay, so basically, because that was a part of my argument, is that people were saying I had enough black in me to be black, right? And that seems to follow the purity kind of format of that. It's like if you have enough, like let's say 1/8 of you as black, then you're all black because the blackness taints the rest of the human.
No, they're talking about U.S. law, which is the one-drop rule, which most people don't realize still goes today, just like how we get our lineage.
So why are
If you have one drop of black blood, that makes you legally black within the United States. That makes that your race.
Yeah, why would the black community perpetuate that?
We're not perpetuating it. We realize that's how we're seen. We realize that's what puts us in harm's way, the color of our skin and that one drop rule, no matter what. We don't perpetuate it. Just because we deal with the reality of something doesn't mean that we're perpetuating it. The reality is we're about to get rid of a tyrannical president. That's the reality of it. We're not perpetuating it. We're not happy with it, but you have to face reality to live in it.
Okay. And on that topic, would you say that there's a reality that the black community suffers from fatherlessness?
Every community suffers from fatherlessness, motherlessness, childlessness. We're not more or less likely. That's just another racist idea that's been perpetuated throughout the years to further distance any progress within the United States for non-white people. You're perpetuating a racist idea that was created, what was the name of the report? Actually, I believe I have it. Oh, the Criminal Report in 1962. And it was just a way of politics and siphoning money out of non-white communities into white communities. And it's the same type of thing that they use in order to create the white middle class through the GI Bill. That's just like saying black on black crime. It's proximity. Black people are not the only ones that may or may not have a father in the home. And a lot of times they're Black fathers that aren't in the home because they're deceased and not because of gun violence. There are sometimes that the father may not be in the home when you go by and visit because he may be deployed. There may be a time where the father is not in the home, but there's a stepfather in the home. Or there's just two mothers in the home. Just like in the white community, the Asian community, the Melanesian community. So
No, this is the thing that I don't like within the black community is that we want to not give any type of acknowledgement to actual issue because it's like, well, yes, black people suffer from fatherlessness, but so do white people, and it's actually in our benefit to say that black people suffer from fatherlessness more, because then that will correlate to the problem with black people being thrown in jail because of the drug wars.
Do we? Here's the thing. Let's look at statistical evidence and let's look at the long history within the United States of what white people do in order to skew statistics. When you say that there are more black people, according to white people, that are fatherless, you're incorrect, because let's look at the insurgents between 1952 and 1967, where even some famous actors have found out that their mother was not really their mother. It was their grandmother, and their sister was their mother. And this is what white people do. There were a lot of white girls that would get pregnant and the father wasn't around and she didn't even know who the father was. And they were sent away to these camps and those children were adopted so that they could skew the demographics. So it's not a more or less. And even right now, if you go to rural white areas, especially where I live in a good old Commonwealth, there's more grandparents, aunts, uncles, and family friends that people say, oh, that's uncle this and auntie this, that are raising these children. So if you skew the statistics in your favor, you can make it seem like you're superior to everything else. We within the black community know what our issues are and how to fix them. But we also know that sometimes the family unit as it looks to white people isn't going to work for us. Because would you want to grow up in a house when your parents have figured out that they should not be together? No, I'm sure you don't, because I've talked to children who have regretted that. Well, they're grown people now in their 50s and 60s and hated it. So yeah, you may have blended families and everything else, and that still works just because your biological father isn't in the home. And that's what a lot of these statistics look at. The biological parents being there doesn't mean that we are more or less. And that's why I tell people all the time, look at the context, learn your history, and don't let people tell you BS.
Okay, so would you say that the black community has felt the brunt of the issue of the war on drugs, which is a stupid war, and been jailed?
Drugs was specifically pinpointed towards us from Ronald Reagan. He
Right.
started off attacking Angela Davis for just being a strong Black woman going against the patriarchy and wanting equality. Once that happened and he got into office, his whole thing, he went from law and order to war on drugs, which are just keywords. And they call that the Southern method, where they just use different words to say that they're attacking Black people, period. So of course it was going to affect us more harshly. It was meant to.
Yeah.
Just think
right.
about it. In the war on drugs, a Black person could be caught with 5 grams of crack and get 5 years in prison. For a white person to get that same amount of time, they would have to have the equivalent of a brick of cocaine. So yes, it's going to affect us more because it was set up to affect us more. That's just like saying, oh, are Black people going to be shot more by the police? Yes, because they were originally created to hunt us down.
Right.
So when the system is created to go against you, yes, it's going to affect you more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm actually saying that the war on drugs is predatory towards Black peoples and even more so Black men. And then also mandatory minimums weren't, when you say the mandatory minimums even compounded that problem with the law that made it even rougher for Black men.
Yes, and because the United States is one of the few places that there's no morality test. There's no morality clauses for these judges that everybody, well, I should say, patriots love to worship so much. And the vast majority of the law is subjective. It's based on somebody's personal experience mixed with their education and mixed with how they feel that day, if we really want to be honest about it. So depending on how a judge feels when they're looking at someone, that's what they're going to get.
Yeah, so I guess basically to me, though, it's logically connected that if Black men are attacked unrighteously and jailed for extended periods of time for crimes that they should not, then that would pull them out of the home.
Yes, there are percentages of Black men that are pulled out the home, and there are also percentages of Black men that are not. Just like for so long, there's been a long-standing myth that Black men don't take care of their kids and abandon them. But in the recent years, from actually 2009 till 2019 was the last time I saw this study surface, the vast majority of fathers that are actually taking care of their children are Black men. The highest growing statistic, well, the highest growing demographic of single fathers are Black men. So we can sit here and toss back and forth racist ideas that have been spoon-fed to us over and over and over again, and we can continue to perpetuate them between the two of us. We can look at the truth of it. We've always had a foot on our neck, but we always persevere. And as much as there is an attack on Black men, the fact that the only time that Black women are brought up in the conversation is if we don't go through anything is when we're made the butt of a joke. So let's discuss why that happens.
We're gonna do that real quick. I just want to say I want to address one last thing. So you don't see that you have to have a direct correlation to how unrighteously Black people are attacked and that the system is predatory against them with how much they suffer, right? So like you see, I feel like if they're attacked,
the system was created against us. That's why I just said the United States, upon our pseudo emancipation, allowed white people allowed us to enter the 100-yard dash with white people, but they let white people stand 2 steps away from the finish line and put us 10 steps behind the starting line. And they've created a system to keep us there. Yes, like I said before, we realize it, and there are those of us that are like me that fight against it every day, that lobby towards it, that realize the issues, and we work within the community to get it. What I'm saying is learn the facts of the matter and learn the connotation behind it to help fix it, instead of just tossing around racist ideas that are implemented to just further the intersectionality within the discrimination and division within the community.
Okay, so I guess to address that part, instead of doing that, do you think that it is wrong to make jokes at the expense of Black people?
It's a bit loaded, but here we go. One of my favorite comedians is Dave Chappelle, and he walks a very fine line. Do I agree with every joke that he puts out? No. Do I think every joke that he makes is funny? No, because sometimes my humor varies a little bit from his. But he has a way of very intellectually making fun of things that are common within Black people, making fun of the stereotypes that are thrown at us like, hey, this is ridiculous. Where it crosses the line is when it's a one shtick wonder. And I would even say this for women, because I've called out women who every joke that they have as a Black woman is towards a stereotype regarding a Black man. That's not funny. That's disrespectful. My issue is when a Black man is asked specifically a question about why he does or does not do something, and then his combat is humor, and the butt of that joke is a Black woman, that's not funny.
Wait, so would you say that from your understanding and your experience with me is that the black women are the butt of all my jokes?
I do not know. I do not
Okay.
know you very well. I'm
Okay.
just saying the jokes that I saw that you put out, I did not find humorous, and I personally found them disrespectful. If you do not feel that you came from a disrespectful place, if you found them humorous, okay, that's fine. That's on you. But you also have to realize it's no different than if we as Black people tell a white person that something that they said or did was racist. It doesn't feel so good. And you feel very unheard when they go, oh, no, it can't be racist. See, my friend is Black, and oh, my great uncle on this side who married my auntie is Black, so it's cool. No.
Yeah.
Because if I got on my platform and if somebody asked me about who I currently date, and I immediately start making jokes about Black men, and then Black men come to me and go, hey sis, this isn't funny. How respected would my Black kings feel if I just got defensive and was like, haha, it's just a joke, just take it?
That could be what I'm coming from, but also I would say I make fun of everybody. If you actually do look at my TikTok, I make fun of there's nobody who's off limits on my TikTok. And so to me it's like you're not going to be privileged above anyone else. So like, okay,
It's
you're
not about privilege. If
yeah.
you were genuinely, like, let's say, if you were just randomly making a video, like, you know what, here's a joke regarding, this Black woman I know and this one, or just about Black women in general. Hee hee ha ha, we could have laughed with you. The fact that when asked about interracial dating and your manner of answering the question was cracking stereotypical jokes, it wasn't funny.
Yeah, I truly believe that the only way that you can actually answer Consciously's question is by giving a stereotype. I don't believe that what you have suggested that I should say is an actual answer. I don't believe that what you said
You
is an
should
answer.
say why you date the woman that you currently date is an actual answer.
Or-
Okay, the
that's
woman
not an
that's
answer, no.
in the videos, the woman that's in the videos with you, that is your girlfriend, correct? Because I don't want to assume.
Yeah.
Okay. Why couldn't you just tell us, like, okay, no, I'm not currently dating a Black woman, but I'm dating her. And I'm dating her because I'm just assuming, I just saw her in a few snippets of videos, like she's smart, she's funny, blah, blah. Why couldn't you just say that? Why did you have to pull from super stereotypical things that have been said to dehumanize, make masculine, etc., and downgrade the intelligence of Black women and make that your answer? Why couldn't you just specifically talk about why you date her?
Yeah, I don't think that's an answer. I'm not the only person who has responded to Consciously and said this. I found three or four other videos, and I could even after this, I'll send you the links to these videos where they also agree that it's an unanswerable question. And so,
See, I feel like you all are saying that it's unanswerable because I'm beginning to question why you all are dating these women. And I mean no disrespect when I say this, because I, as a woman, if somebody were to ask my significant other why he was dating me, and he's French, and if he were to sit there and start dogging out French women, I would feel disrespected. Like, well, what exactly is it that you like about me? Is it that you hate French women and this is a vengeful, or a fetish relationship or what? Because it is answerable to say, I'm not currently dating a Black woman because I met Suzanne, who's wonderful, and we vibe and we're so connected, is an answer. It is a simple answer. It is not rocket science.
Yeah,
The fact that it's so hard for certain Black men to answer it is extremely troubling and extremely problematic.
I think that what you just said is answerable. And the thing that you switched when you just said it just now was the word currently. He didn't say why do you currently with a white woman or whatever. He says, why do you date exclusively, like as a rule?
Correct. And we discussed that at the very beginning, that you stated, just like I admitted, neither one of us exclusively date any race. So just like I asked you at the beginning, you entered a conversation that wasn't targeted towards you. You chose to jump into that arena. Why? If you're not exclusively dating white women, you didn't fit into that category. So why jump into the conversation?
To make a joke.
So your whole point was to jump into the conversation to make jokes against Black women? Do you see how that sounds?
No. You added on to that. Okay, so the reason why I jumped in the conversation was to make a joke, right? Now, is it exclusively about Black women? I don't know how to make a joke, given the framing that he has, that can go against another race with the way, because when you answer it, it's implied that it's against Black women. I never said anything about Black women. It's implied in the question. Because like,
your joke said something about Black women. Every single joke that you made said something about.
No, it
really,
didn't.
You made jokes about Black women being baby mamas, having low credit scores.
Where did I say that?
You even brought up the video previously in this. Like, come on, man.
Where did I actually say that though? Did I actually say Black women have baby daddies and Black women have low credit scores? Did I actually say that?
I didn't say anything about baby daddies. I said baby mom, and you already referenced your own video earlier in this conversation. Let's not rewrite history as it's happening, please.
No.
You even said, and in one of the videos, you even asked your girlfriend, like, oh, well, what's your credit score? See, this is why. You were implying, like, well, why do I date this way? Okay. It's unnecessary. And my thing is, even if you didn't agree with his question, I could even understand you stitching or duetting his video going, I feel that this is an unanswerable question, and you two having a conversation. But to watch that video where he's talking to a certain percentage of Black men that you yourself repeatedly say that you are not a part of. One, I don't understand why you wanted to jump in the conversation. And two, why decide to respond with a joke? Because that says more about what's internalized in you than the question that was originally answered. And that might take some deep introspection. And I mean no disrespect. This is just some advice that I'm giving to you. Because if you can't answer why you're dating the person that you're dating without cracking a joke about a whole different race of women.
That wasn't the question. The question wasn't why are you dating the person you're dating? The question was why do you
That's the question that I posed to you when we first started the conversation on TikTok. I stated the original question was not geared towards you. I've stated now 4 times that you jumped into a conversation that wasn't for you, and you said you did it specifically to make jokes. And those jokes that you made were about Black women, which was still wrong.
So the reason why I couldn't answer the question as you just said is because Conscious Lee asked the question the way he did, and you asked it the way you did. Those are 2 different questions.
But if you and I are having a question, are having a conversation, and I ask you a question, what somebody else asked you before doesn't matter. We have now entered the conversation. So when I asked you, Conscious Lee had nothing to do with that. So once again, I'm going to ask you, why do you currently date the person that you date without bringing Black women into the conversation?
We hit it off really well. We went to karaoke, and we both like karaoke. She comes from a religious background, so I find that important. We have similar sense of humor and similar taste in music. Very similar taste in music. I think that she has, like, she's very smart and she's trustworthy. There's like reasons why I date her. But I can't say those things because those are not answers of why I exclusively date her. Like exclusively date.
But okay, take consciously out of the conversation between you and I.
Yeah.
Every time I'm asking you specific questions, you keep going back to his question.
Yeah, but I gave you the answers. The answers still stand. I'm just saying that just
right.
they don't.
So
they
if
don't
that's why you date her, that's wonderful. That is admirable. But you do realize that is the same question. That's the same answer that someone who exclusively dates non-Black women can still give, because they find someone who is equally yoked with them, on the same plane with them, but just happens to not share their cone.
Wait a minute. Okay. So this is why I think this is ridiculous. Okay, so that's the question that anybody can ask, regardless of whether they date in, out of their race, regardless of whether they male or female or anything. The what you just said is what every single person would say. So that means that the framing of the question is irrelevant. It might as well be, why do you date who you're with?
That is my point. Because at the beginning you said, and we agreed, that race is a social construct. So whether somebody puts exclusively or takes exclusively out of dating non-Black people, your answer should still be regarding the person that you're currently with. Why do you date them? If you can't answer it, or the only thing, because I don't know if you've seen the videos going around currently, where white women have been asked, if you exclusively date Black men, why? And the things that they're saying are not about individuals, it's all fetish. It's all about stereotypes regarding the sexuality and hypersexuality of Black men. That's problematic. But if you can look at the individual and go, hey, this isn't about race, which we've agreed is a social construct, and you can talk about the individual, then you can answer any question regarding dating without making fun of your counterpart that shares your race.
Yeah, I guess to me that what you just articulated was that the question itself was formed wrong. Because the question is forcing people to answer in racist ways.
No, it's not forcing them to answer in
It
racist
is.
ways. It's just exposing people for being racist. Because if you're not racist, prejudiced, or bigoted, then that's not what comes to mind when people ask you certain questions. The first thing that comes to mind when somebody asks you a question, and the first thing you think is, ooh, my answer is going to be racist or bigoted or prejudiced, is because that's who you are.
Yeah, I would say that I am the kind of person that finds racist jokes funny, but I also find I find all dark humor funny. Like my type of humor is dark all across the board. But I mean, I don't know, like we have different senses of humor.
No, I mean, I can understand that, and I can respect that, because my best friend and I, a lot of jokes we tell between each other, they should not be said in public, because people, will take that the wrong way. I mean, our jokes aren't about other people. They're about each other going back and forth. And both of our mothers are deceased, and we have a lot of really messed up jokes about that. But we also know there are certain things you can't say in public. Yes, we all have the right to the First Amendment and freedom of speech, but none of us are free from consequences.
And I guess
there are some jokes that I tell that I know, my account will probably get banned in about 5 minutes. So I get what you're saying, and I can appreciate all types of humor, but just think of this. When someone asks you, and this, please, any other Black man listening, and I mean this, please for once, listen to us Black women. If someone asks you why you do or do not do something, oops, sorry about that, we lost the connection. But if somebody asks you why you do or do not do something, you don't have to bring us into the conversation and make jokes about it. Like, just leave us out of it. Leave us out of the joke at that moment. Now, there is a creator on here who, he does skits where he plays every member of the family, a Black man. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name right now. And he does jokes regarding Black women, specifically his made-up wife. It's hilarious. It is hilarious. And he does some motions, because as you can see, the whole time I've been talking with my hands. That's what we as Black women do. And when he does it, it's funny, but it's respectful. It's not sitting next to a white woman going, yeah, babe, I'm with you because you get this and they don't have that. That's not cool.
How do you know that she was a white woman?
Because she was in your video. That's why I asked, was that your girlfriend?
Wait a minute, but how do you know she wasn't Asian?
Because I have eyes.
Oh, so you could tell. Okay, so I don't think that you can always tell by looking at somebody.
Oh, I wasn't talking about just looking at her. In your comment section, there were people who had asked and it had been answered if she was black, white, or whatever. That's what I mean. I have eyes. I was reading.
Oh, you mean the comments section? Okay, okay. Do you believe that race is determined by how somebody looks?
Race is determined by basically, I hate to say it, but your genealogy. If you got a black father and a black mother, you're going to be black. If you have a black father and a white mother, you're going to be biracial. Some people are multiracial.
So would I also be German and French and all these other things that I have in my genealogy? Or
That's your ethnicity. That's your ethnicity. Yes, you would. Just like one of the most controversial leaders of the NAACP was a man named Walter White. For all intents and purposes, he looked white. He was very easy to passe blanche. For those who don't know what that means be white passing. But he was still a black man. He was just very, very fair skinned.
So it's like partly gene.
By ethnicity, I am Bahamian. By race, I'm black.
Yeah, and so why not? You said this is a social construct made up by white people to like with racist motive. So why not just throw away the idea of race and only have ethnicity?
That would be lovely, but we don't live in a country that's set upon that system. I would love to completely dismantle this entire system within the United States and rebuild it up where everything is inclusive and equal to everybody, and we stop talking about race. Because before I came to this country, race was not I didn't know what it was until I moved to the United States, because it wasn't a big deal where I was at. Nobody talked about that. It was, oh, that's my neighbor. Or, oh yeah, that Steve, the 6-foot Steve. Like, it wasn't, oh, black Steve, white Steve, Asian Steve. No, it was none of that. That's a United States thing. So I would love to do that.
Okay. I want to ask this real quick. William, can you hear me? Okay, I don't know, like I wanted to like, because you guys been sitting here waiting. I don't know if like if you or Caleb wanted to ask something, I'll unmute you and let you, if you wanted to ask anything for either of us, either of you. I don't know if you have any questions.
I think we got about 20 minutes left.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to. You wanna? Either of you?
No, I'm good. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I don't bite. I promise I don't bite.
So I'd say it seems like to me Taz is calling you, Anthony, up to a higher level of operation, to take more care for the not just what you say, but like the context of where you're saying it or how it's being taken, because yeah, there's an effect to those things. Personally, humor is it's a tough thing because a lot of humor has a cost to those jokes, and someone has to pay the cost. And a lot of times those costs are not a big deal, but sometimes it can be a substantial thing of perpetuating something or planting a seed or different stuff like that. But I also get what you're saying of the impossibility of the question. The way it is framed, it is the subtext of it, I would agree, is asking for a as a rule, why do you, not just who you are, why do you date the person you are dating? It's like, why do you date that type of person exclusively? So I get that, but I don't think it necessitates a negative response still. I think you can still, and Taz, you mentioned that with like the fetishizing, that would be the positive side of it, positive. I would say that'd be like a tiered thing of like, you know, your individual answering the individual question. And if you're going to answer that exclusive question, then it'd be like fetishizing and then kicking down or kicking out, instead of, yeah. So I think that there's a tier to it, but I think it's better to just, I think Taz is right in that way of just not addressing the question and being like, nope, just for me, this is why I'm with the person that I'm with. Tapping into love, explaining the passionate love that you have, to try to defeat that exclusivity question, because it does have that racial side of it, that racist side of it.
Yeah. I do want to say, this is something that, thanks for that, by the way, Caleb. I do want to say this, is that, Taz, I actually don't believe, like you do, that there's people who really do this. I think any person who says, like, if there's a black guy who says, I don't date black women, I think they're full of shit. I think that if you give me any black man and he's like, and you're like, yo, if Holly Berry in her mid-20s came up to you and she was like, I'll give you money, and she had a great personality and like all these other qualities that you wouldn't date her, I think you're full of shit. I think that if you have an awesome black
As
woman,
a very uber and very out of the closet bisexual woman, I wouldn't date Holly Berry or touch her with a 10-foot pole. Not everybody thinks that she's sexy, but you also have to think, depending on where people live, there might not be access to some melanin. I have a cousin right now where he is deployed at. Yes, he currently exclusively dates outside of his race, but he's very selective because he wants somebody that he can have a kindred with. But where he's at, he's not going to find very many melanated people. So is he supposed to just chill by himself and be lonely? No, plus I don't think he could ever be alone. He can't. But there are people who just like, and I hate for people to say that, because if we as Black people decided to exclusively date other Black people, no one would bat an eye at that. That wouldn't be called anything, nothing, if we exclusively just sought each other out. If you decide that you like 5'2" women, and that's what you like because you feel that looks good next to you, and every woman you've ever met that's 5'2" has been sweet as a peach and smart as crap, so you decided 5'2", that's what it is for me. Cool. If you decide, hey, I'm gonna catch a vibe, or like, I like extreme stuff. I like to go skydiving and climb mountains and go rock climbing and all that stuff. I'm gonna be honest. There have been men of all races who have looked at me like I have a hole in the back of my head. Like, are you trying to die? So sometimes my dating pool can be skewed because of what I like to do. And some Black men, their dating pool gets skewed because of what they like to do. So that might have them exclusively dating Asian women, indigenous women, white women, depending on where they are geographically. That doesn't mean that they're full of shit, but there are some that, they think that white is right and the brighter the better. Hey, they're fucked up in the head.
yeah, I get. This is what I'm saying, is that I'm interpreting the question as that if the opportunity afforded itself to this person, that they would reject all Black women. I think that person is full of shit.
Oh yeah, if you're just gonna reject all, yeah, just like women who go, oh, I can never date a Black man. What I hear in my head is, no Black man wants you.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And I'm not saying my statement is correct. I'm saying that's what I hear. When somebody automatically goes, I would never date, and it's their racial counterpart within their own racial community, who doesn't want you?
Yeah, I would say that there's definitely truth to that. And I wanna do this because a lot of people did come at my girlfriend when I did that TikTok. And I thought it was funny because I don't know if people actually know how stitches work. And they had the idea, like a lot of people, and I don't know if this was you or one of the people, but said that my girlfriend was like in on the joke and did it on purpose.
No, I never commented on her. I realized it was your page.
Right.
And there was one video, I wasn't even sure if she knew she was being recorded, because it just seemed like her, I don't know her personally. It just seemed like her natural caught off guard reaction. That's what it looked like to me, unless she's just like an Oscar worthy actress. I don't know, you know. So I was like, I think he's kind of just cracking these jokes and just recording her reaction. That's how I took it.
Yeah.
I never addressed her because I'm on the outside looking in, but her responses kind of left me feeling like she didn't really know what was going on. So anybody that was in the comments that attacked her, they definitely owe her an apology. That's going too far. Like, if I say something in my videos and just because somebody sit next to me or whatever, y'all don't ever come after them. Come after me. I said it. Like, don't go after people's significant others and stuff. That's not cool.
Well, thank you for saying that. You hear that, TikTok? Stop coming after my girlfriend. she really didn't know. She didn't know what was going on.
You send me the link to the video in question?
Can you send it to her, Taz, or I don't, because I'm recording right now on this thing. Or if you wait, so I'm trying to think of how I could get it to you. I guess basically, if you want to give me any way where I could send it to, then I can put it on there. Because I can't give it. I can't do her.
Right. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Because I'm just saying, from the outside looking in and looking at your videos, it didn't seem like she knew what was going on, and it just seemed like you were recording her natural reactions.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and honestly, I just want to say I do not like. I do actually think that there is a systemic problem with our culture devaluing Black women, right? And I am against that. But at the same time, I don't put them in a category where I cannot make fun of them.
You can make fun of us, but don't perpetuate the stereotypes within the system that was built against us. Because just like the Honorable Malcolm X says, the Black woman is the most disrespected person in this country. Don't perpetuate that disrespect. Oops.
Yeah, and truthfully, it wasn't actually like this might be hard for people to see, but I wasn't actually trying to target Black women themselves anyway. It was implied that it was something against Black women, but truthfully, if you want to get real to how I feel, it's something that's the problem with Black men. Because Black men, I think, are the ones who are abandoning the Black women and put them in this situation.
Well, then your joke should have been more targeted towards there. I do believe that you were very systematic in what you did, and it was obvious the stereotypes that you were drawing from were geared towards Black women. So if you believe that we should not be further disrespected, don't join the parade of disrespect. If you feel that it is Black men's responsibility to make up for their shortcomings or do better, direct the conversation towards them. Leave us Black women out of conversations that we're not asking for an invitation to and we're not trying to show up for. Because generally the only time we show up is because y'all keep sending for us. And we're tired of showing up. Because not only do we have to show up to defend ourselves, we're also showing up to defend you. Because all the in-between times that Black men really aren't paying attention, what you all are missing is that we are very vocal in protecting Black men, whether we date you or not, because at the end of the day, we're giving birth to Black men.
I mean, I feel like you put a very high premium on the jokes that I make, whereas like I do things in my life that are beneficial to the Black community that I'm like, it doesn't matter if I make a joke, I'm actually doing things for the Black community.
It actually does matter because it can negate the work that you're trying to do.
No,
and just like I told you before, it's just like we as Black people, if we tell a white person something is racist, they don't get to argue that with us. So if a Black woman comes to you and goes, hey, King, this was disrespectful, don't argue with us. Don't combat us. You may not agree, but respect where we're coming from. Because it's bad enough. We got to catch it from all other ends in every other race. The last thing we need to do is catch it from our own kings.
Yeah, I have a different modality. I think the most
Well,
important.
sweetheart, I mean no disrespect in this whatsoever, but hear me and hear me clearly. Unless you wake up tomorrow as a Black woman, this is a conversation you can't argue with me about. All I'm saying is listen to us, respect us. Your feelings about how Black women should feel about Black jokes towards us is not up for discussion. It's not.
I just realized, and I didn't up until now, that you actually view me as an outsider.
How do you figure I view you as an outsider?
You said
You're not a Black
don't.
woman.
You was like, no, well, but you're like, don't tell us. Like, I was thinking the whole time that I am a participant. Like, basically, I'm telling my own group. And you're like, no, you don't tell us. Like, you were separating us.
Us as Black women.
Right, as
That's why
outside.
I specifically said, if you are not a Black woman, you cannot tell a Black woman what is respectful and disrespectful to her. Therefore, when we bring you the conversation and when we tell you what it is, that's it. Take it in, respect it. Don't argue with us about it. That's the beginning and the end of the conversation. There is no reason for me to have to go back and forth with any man on God's green earth about what is respectful to a group of women that I belong to.
So what? Okay, so how would you handle this with about gay men or gay women? Would that be another group that you have to listen to them?
Gay men, yes. Anybody in the LGBTQI community, anybody, if they come to me and say that they're disrespected by something I've said or done, it is not for me to argue with them about it. It is for me to listen and learn and not repeat that infraction that I made.
Okay, what about short men or fat men? Are they also a part of this group that you can't make fun of, that if they say that they don't find it humorous?
Okay. I never said don't make fun of people. I said don't be disrespectful.
Okay, but if they're like, no, I get to tell you like what I'm offended by and you can't argue with it, so don't
Yes,
make this
marginalized people get to tell people what they are offended by. You must listen to it, learn from it, and not repeat.
So would short men be an example of that group? Because short men are like dissed on Tinder and other things. Like, I can't.
When are short men discriminated against? Because I specifically
and Tinder all the time.
Marginalized, being made fun of, and being marginalized and discriminated against are two different things. Clearly, two different things.
So then it's like you're a woman and you're telling men whether they actually feel marginalized. When I'm telling you, find a man who's like, if you find a man who's 5'2" and under, he is extremely marginalized, and he does.
Really? What job is he not getting? Who's hunting him down in the streets? Who's trying to govern his body? What laws are there placed against short men? What part of the system within the United States is fervently created and enforced against a man because he's short?
Before I answer that, though, you're a woman, so you can't say anything about it.
I'm asking questions.
Right.
I didn't give my opinion. I asked a series of questions. So go ahead and answer.
So what they have is they're not desirable as a mate.
That does not make them marginalized at all.
That's a huge thing, man. If you
that's a huge thing on the preference scale. That's not marginalizing someone. Someone is not losing their job as a computer programmer because they're 5'2" and a man.
It's more important than their job.
What is a man being discriminated against within the system of the United States because of his height?
In the system of the United States, I don't even know what you mean by that. Like, is Tinder outside the system of the United States or what?
Tinder isn't a law. It isn't.
Okay, so laws. That's what you meant. You meant laws. So as long as.
Third time I've said it.
Okay, well, I mean, I really think that you're discounting the actual marginalization, the actual suffering that a short man goes through in the United States.
Now men are suffering and they're marginalized and they're discriminated against because they're short. I have never heard this in my life. I have never in my life seen a bill go past Congress regarding short men. I have, as a business owner, never heard other business owners claim that, oh, well, I'm not hiring no short man. Never. I've never heard a cop going, I'm looking for the short guy. Let's just pull over every short guy. Like, what? Just because, yes, I do understand short men, husky men, BBWs, they get a lot of jokes. A lot of people claim that they're not their preference, where we know behind closed doors, everybody's preference, if we want to be real about it. But that's not being marginalized.
Okay, so I mean, this is the thing that I think about that. When you say that, it's like, you know that white people use this argument against black people all the time. They go, hey, show me a racist law. Can you name just one racist law, right?
And we can name plenty of them. Actually, we have, wait a minute, where is it? We have a whole freaking book.
But wait a second though. But wait a second. Would your argument be less valid if you couldn't name a racist law?
Yes, because that would mean that there is no system created against me.
Oh man, no. I think you've ceded too much ground to them. You need to not have that position, because you will lose in this debate if you cede them that. It doesn't have to be instantiated in a specific racist law. It can be vestigial things left over from previous racist laws.
But you do realize the residuals of previous racial laws are actually propelled forward in current racial laws and in the system that was created and completely built to be racist.
Yeah, but
therefore, when a racist comes to me and goes, well, how is that racist if it's not a law? And I can point that out, which confirms that it's racist. Just simply saying that a short man is marginalized because somebody wouldn't date him in the 12th grade doesn't make it marginalized.
Yeah, so I guess if you ever have resistance, which I'm sure you do, when you show the racist law, it's probably because of that point right there. Like you've ceded territory to the people that you want to persuade that you should not give to them. You've giving them too much by saying that you can name racist laws, because that is a challenge that doesn't really matter. Like, you can have racism that's left over that is still problematic for black people, even if it's not directly in the law itself.
Well, it could be in the law and the education, within the religion. It's a many of things, but you asked me specifically about law, so I answered you about law. But we are over our time.
Yes, and I want to thank you for giving your time. For people participating, Caleb, thank you for showing up. And and if any of you want to have a further conversation or anything on this, I'm down to talk anytime, pretty much. Like after working hours, preferably, and we can continue on. The thing, William, I will send you the video in question so you could see it. And I just want to give everybody a chance. Any last words before we go? I'm not going to say anything, just let you go.
Now, also, William, if you don't get it, just hit me up on IG. I think I have it. I can send it to you.
All right.
Anything else?
That's it. I'm good.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I can send you a copy of this conversation if you want.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.